Profile case tied to the nation's opioid crisis that could have far-reaching implications for the leading drug manufacturers. An Oklahoma judge is expected to issue a ruling on whether pharmaceutical giant Johnson & Johnson will be held responsible for the state's opioid epidemic. Here's NBC's Stephanie Gosk with the story.
Money can make people and businesses do bad things.
This morning, a historic verdict is expected in Oklahoma, one that could have far-reaching consequences for drug companies in the wake of the nation's opioid crisis.
You need to make Johnson & Johnson clean up this mess that they have made in Oklahoma.
Oklahoma state attorneys argue that pharmaceutical giant Johnson & Johnson and subsidiary Janssen Pharmaceuticals should be held partly responsible for the state's opioid epidemic, a crisis officials say has led to more than 6,000 deaths over nearly 2 decades.
Johnson & Johnson knew opioid drugs were addictive and caused harm. Despite that, they marketed their drugs as safe and effective for everyday pain.
The state is asking for more than $17 billion from the company, claiming it aggressively marketed the powerful drugs to doctors while downplaying the risks. Johnson & Johnson denies any wrongdoing.
It brought essential medicines to people who suffer from debilitating chronic pain.
Sabrina Strong is one of the attorneys representing Johnson & Johnson.
What the evidence showed at trial is that the company did absolutely nothing wrong.
She says the company's drugs are heavily regulated and infrequently prescribed, and that the state could not produce any evidence that doctors had been misled.
The facts are that the company's products were rarely diverted, rarely abused, and amount to less than 1% of all the opioid medicines that are prescribed to patients in Oklahoma.
Johnson & Johnson now awaiting the verdict. 2 other drug makers originally named in the lawsuit settled with the state. Teva Pharmaceuticals agreed to pay $85 million in June. And in March, Purdue Pharma paid $270 million, both denying any wrongdoing.
And that was Stephanie Gosk reporting.